Let me take you to a beach in the south of France. It's late afternoon. The sun is hanging low, the kind of golden hour that makes everything look like a movie. There's a guy named Marc. He's a welder by trade. Works with metal, all-day steel beams, railings, gates. Rough hands, quiet voice, the type of dad who shows love by showing up. Marc is at the beach with his daughter, Chloe. She's 7. Brown hair, messy ponytail, the kind of kid who talks to crabs and names seagulls. She spent the last 2 hours building a sandcastle. Not a small one, a serious one. With a moat, a drawbridge made from a popsicle stick, and a flag made from a candy wrapper. It's her masterpiece. And then a wave comes. Not even a big wave. A lazy, half-hearted wave that just reaches far enough to wipe out the left tower. The whole thing crumbles into wet slop. Chloe doesn't scream. She doesn't cry loud. She just stares at the rubble, her little shoulders drop, and she whispers, "It's gone." That's when Marc does something most dads wouldn't think of. He doesn't say, "We'll build another one." He looks at the wet sand, then at the metal workshop bag he always keeps in the trunk of his car, and says, "Hold on, honey. Let me try something." Now, here's the thing you need to understand about Marc. He's not rich. He's not famous. He's just a guy who learned from his own dad that when something breaks, you don't cry, you fix it. His dad fixed bikes, clocks, toasters, hearts. Marc learned to weld because he liked the way sparks look against a dark sky. But more than that, he learned that metal can be bent back into shape, and he figured maybe sand can too. So he runs to the car, grabs his portable welding kit small torch, safety glasses, gloves, and comes back. People on the beach start looking. A guy with a welding torch at the shore? That's not something you see every day. Marc kneels down next to the ruined castle. He doesn't actually weld sand, of course. You can't weld sand. But he uses a thin metal rod he brought along, heats it up just a little, and starts carefully pushing it into the wet sand to create a new structure. He builds a skeleton, a frame. Then he packs fresh sand around it, and the heat from the rod hardens the surface just enough to hold its shape. It's not real welding. It's pretending. But to Chloe, it looks like magic. Within minutes, the castle is back. Not exactly the same, better. The tower is straighter. The walls are smoother. Marc even uses the torch to melt a small piece of scrap metal into a little crown on top. Chloe claps. And here's where the story takes a turn. An old man had been watching from a nearby bench. Dark sunglasses, white linen shirt, leather sandals that probably cost more than Marc's truck. He walks over slowly and says, "That was the most beautiful thing I've seen in 10 years. Marc laughs, wipes his forehead. "It's just sand, sir." Marc laughs, wipes his forehead. "It's just sand, sir." The old man takes off his sunglasses. His eyes are red. Not from allergies. From crying. He says, "My name is August, and I haven't spoken to my daughter in 3 years. There it is. The problem. The real broken thing on that beach. August is a billionaire. Shipping business, real estate, hotels. He owns half a dozen houses but no home. His daughter, Elodie, stopped speaking to him after her mother died. August was never there. Always at a meeting, on a plane, signing something. He thought providing meant loving. He was wrong. And now he sits on public beaches watching other people's children because his own won't return his calls. Marc doesn't recognize him. Marc doesn't watch business news. He just sees a hurting old man. So he does what he always does. He says, "You want to help me build the next one?" And that's when the real welding begins. For the next hour, Marc, Chloe, and August build sandcastles. Not 1, 5. Each one bigger than the last. August is terrible at it. His towers fall over. His moats are crooked. But Chloe laughs every time and says, That's okay, Grandpa August. You just need more water. She calls him Grandpa August. Not because Marc told her to, because she's 7, and 7-year-olds don't care about net worth. They care about who kneels in the sand with them. August breaks down. Right there, in front of everyone. Not loud sobbing. Just tears rolling down his face while he packs sand into a bucket. He says, I missed everything. Every castle. Every birthday. Every scraped knee. For what? A bigger boat? Marc doesn't give advice. He doesn't say, you should call her. He just hands August a dry towel and says, my wife left 3 years ago. I know what it's like to look at something broken and think it's your fault. But sand is soft. Hearts are soft too. You can rebuild both if you start small. That line changes everything. August pulls out his phone. He's been holding on to a draft text to Elodie for 18 months. It's 17 paragraphs long, full of apologies, excuses, justifications. Marc looks at it and says, that's not a text. That's a novel. Send her this instead. I was wrong. I miss you. Can I try again? August hesitates. His thumb hovers. Chloe looks up and says, my mommy didn't answer my dad's calls for a whole year, but he kept leaving voicemails. He said love is louder than silence. That's the climax. Right there. A 7-year-old girl covered in sand and salt water, teaching a billionaire what it took him 70 years to forget. August sends the text. 3 dots appear. Then stop. Then appear again. His heart is pounding so hard you can see it in his neck. And then the reply comes. 4 words. Daddy? Is that you? He drops the phone in the sand. Chloe picks it up, wipes it on her dress, and hands it back. See? She says. Fixed. Now you might think this story ends with August flying his daughter to the beach on a private jet and everyone hugging in slow motion. Real life is messier than that. Elodie didn't come that day. She called. They talked for 2 hours that night. She cried. He cried. They agreed to meet for coffee the next week. No lawyers. No money talk. Just 2 people trying to remember how to be family. That was 6 months ago. Today, August sends Marc a photo every Sunday. Him and Elodie at a farmer's market. Him helping her paint a room in her apartment. Him reading a bedtime story to his 3-year-old grandson over video call. He wrote Marc a letter last week. It said, you didn't weld sand that day. You welded me. And Marc? He still works his regular job. Still drives the same truck. But now on weekends, he takes Chloe to the beach with a small welding kit and a sign that says, free Sandcastle repairs. Donations accepted, but not required. Sometimes August shows up with pastries and a folding chair. Sometimes other people do too. A mom whose son has autism. A teenager whose best friend moved away. An old fisherman whose wife forgot his name last year. They all sit in the sand, and Marc shows them how to build something that can fall apart and still be beautiful. Here's what this story is really about. You don't need $1 billion to fix something broken. You just need to show up, get your hands dirty, and remember that even sand can be reshaped. And you definitely don't need a welding torch. You need the guts to say, I was wrong, and the patience to stay when the other person isn't ready yet. Because here's the truth they don't tell you in movies. Fixing things takes time. Marc didn't get back together with his ex-wife. They're still apart. But he stopped blaming himself. August didn't erase 20 years of absence in one text. But he started. And starting is 99% of the work. So whether it's a sandcastle, a relationship, or a heart that's been sitting in the dark too long, don't wait for the perfect wave. Don't wait until you have the right words. Just kneel down, pack the sand, and try. If a 7-year-old girl on a French beach can teach a billionaire how to say sorry, You can send that text. You can make that call. You can weld something that everyone else said was too far gone.